Ablat Gemara. Today's daf is daf Mem Aleph, and we're up to actually Gemara daf Mem on the base and the bottom. The Mishnah had a Reisha and had a Sefer. In the Reisha, the Mishnah says that if you deposited a barrel by somebody, but you did not designate a place in the specific place in the house, it's like the whole house, you're saying, I'm going to keep it, watch it, guard it for you. And then you decided to use it for yourself. So we said it depends. If it broke while you're holding on the hand, you're holding it, then it depends. Why are you taking it in the first place? Is it for your own benefit? Then you're responsible no matter what happened, even if it's an accident. Even though you're showing mechinim, and generally you're not responsible for accidents. But if you did it in order to protect the barrel for whatever reason, then you are not chayiv. And the safe of the Mishnah is that, but if you went and you put it back in its original place, and then it broke, then you're not liable at all. In the safer it is you designate a specific place, and then we say again, and you moved it. It depends why. You moved it for the benefit of the arrow. We don't care what happened, you're exempt. But if you moved it for your own benefit, then it makes no difference whether it's still in your hand, whether you dropped it, you put it back, and then it broke. You are always responsible. And we're going to try to understand the different cases in the Mishnah, and also why the Mishnah mentions the fact that you returned it. Now, bearing in mind, there's an argument you had to Bishmol Rabbi Akiva. When you take something, you have to, and then you return it, you have to make the owner aware of it or not. If you need Sheikhah das Bailim and Bishmol says if you steal something and you put it back, that's good enough. Rabbi Akiva says no, you need to have das Bailim. And we're going to try to apply that machlekes to our Mishnah. We'll see the different ways of understanding our Mishnah. So, number one. Says the Gemara, Hamani, who's the author of our Mishnah? L'chayda Bishmoli. Bishmol, because the first part of the Mishnah says, once you put it back, I don't care why you took it. Once you put it back, anything happens afterwards, you're not responsible. Why? Because you put it back. You did a good hashava. You did a good return. Who says that when you return, you don't have to make the owner aware? That's a Bishmol. You don't need the owner to be aware. Tanya, and the Bryce, I'm going to lemonade. You stole a sheep from a flock. The seller in a case or a coin from a wallet. As long as you return it back to the original place where you took it from, that's considered a good hashava, and divrei shmol, and therefore you're no longer responsible for what happens afterwards. However, Rabbi Akiva says once you took it, once you took it, now you have a mitzvah hashava. In order to fulfill the mitzvah hashava, you need to make them aware. And if you didn't, anything that happens to it, even if it was an accident, you are still responsible. So even if it was died by accident afterwards, because it's in your rishus. And you never did hashava. You already had a chiv of returning it to the owner. And when do you fulfill your chiv, return to the owner? Only if you made the owner aware. We had this argument previously already. Says the Gemara. So then we don't understand. So Rabbi Shmuel, if the beginning of our Mishnah is Rabbi Shmuel, that once you return it, it makes no difference. So what's the relevance of the Mishnah that says you did not specify a place in the house? What's the difference? You did specify a place. You didn't specify a place. Once you returned it, it's a good hashava without making the owner aware. The Mishnah says if you did not specify a place and then you returned it, you're no longer responsible. Why? Why do you talk about a place that you didn't specify? I feel even if you don't put it in this closet over there. Also, the din would be that if you put it back there, you put it. In fact, even more so. So the Gemara, you're right, but there's no chiddush in that. If I tell you the closet is yours, put it there. And then I put it back. I mamish put it back in your house. The chiddush here is that even though I didn't specify a place, as if the entire house is good enough, as soon as I put it back into the house, anywhere I put it down, I don't no longer use it. Good enough. You don't have to say if I gave you a special place in the house, I say, here, place it here. This is your area. Surely, it's as if I gave it back to the original owners, to the mafkid's house. I didn't tell you exactly where to put it. Hey, I'll take it. The lav mekremus, there's no specific place in the house which you can say this is the makam of the mafkid. Like being that's by us. Be a chiddush that you don't have to make him aware. If you put it right back where anywhere in your house, once it's in your house, you did the hashava. Now there's a problem with the sefer. What does the sefer the Mishnah say? That if you meyachel a makam and then you took it, then you shouldn't have. Then you put it back. If anything happens afterwards, you're still responsible. Why? If we follow Rabbi Shmuel that once you put it back, you don't need das bailim. So why in the sefer you say Yechayiv? There's only one possible conclusion. The sefer is written by Rabbi Akiva. who holds that you do need das Bailim. So we have a Modna Zachi. The beginning of the Mishnah is Rabbi Shmuel, and the Sefer is Rabbi Akiva. Ema Sefer, Yagla Bailim Mokum, you set aside a place, but Tiltla, and you moved it, the Nishman broke. Bein Mitoich Yodai, Bein Mish, whether it broke while it was still in your hand when you're totally responsible. When after you put it back, if you use it for your own purpose, if you did it to move it to protect the barrel, then you put it. Who says that? It could only be also Rabbi Akiva. This can only follow Rabbi Akiva. The Amar who says, Be'inan das Bailim. Rabbi Akiva says you had to make the owner aware, and Kol's man, as long as you didn't make the owner aware, you are still a gan. If you didn't fulfill the mitzvah shava, and anything that happens to it, you're responsible, because you made a kinyan the moment you picked it up. You made a kinyan hagbor, mashich, whatever it was. You made it yours with all the chiyuv and all the obligations of a ganef, and Kol's man, you didn't return it by making the balbos aware, you're responsible. Any incident that happens. Yeah, because that's a din of shayim. The din of shayim is you got to take care of the. Remember we learned before the hashayvayis law. You have to apply your mind. For example, let's say there's a leak in the roof right there, so you're moving it away. Says the Gemara, eat Rabbi Akiva, and now let's go back. If Rabbi Akiva, then what's the relevance of yachda? And if a lo yachda, you still have to notify the balabas. After lo yachda nami, even if it wasn't a yachda, you have to notify the boss. So why mention b'chal? Lo mebay. Surely, if he didn't specify a place, he just put it back in the house. Surely, it's not called the hashav, the lav mekaymu. There's no specific place for it. Even if you specify the place, the mekaymu, that's the place. Being das by even though you put it right back in the place where you gave God, still you have to notify exactly. Because some people have a problem with that, and some people. Sometimes we have bias, and sometimes, yeah. No, we're supposed to big machlekes. It says in, yes. Rabbi Yechanan once said. In other words, there's a big machlek. We had a few places already. We'll have Sanhedrin and other places. What's more difficult to learn? That is two Tanoim, and the two parts of the Mishnah, two Tanoim, but the same theme, or it's two different things. Even though it sounds like it's one case, the age talking about two different times, same Tana, but two different timing. Which is more of a dachuk? Big machlek is namarayim, which is more of a dachuk. So, and that's exactly what it is. Rabbi Yechanan says to learn that it's two different tanoim is a big problem. It's admission anonymous to say two tanoim, and it's all the same thing, same case, but two different tanoim. So different Rabbi Yechanan, but we have a breda. So I'm Rabbi Yechanan. Man dem etagen lichavis leave the chatana. There's somebody out there who could find a pshat in the Mishnah that the entire Mishnah follows one Tana. I will take all of his clothes and I will follow him to the bathhouse. But this is one of the ways to demonstrate that somebody's an Eved. If in public he walks around carrying somebody else's things and he's walking behind him, that is like a living testimony or testament to the fact that this guy is an Eved. So Rabbi Yechanan is more than happy to embarrass himself so that he can find a pshat. No, but he's saying there's no way you can learn. I'd rather learn that it's one Tana, even though two timing, but I have no bread here. That's Rabbi Yechanan. Now we're going to have three different Amoraim who say we don't like that. We don't like to learn that it's two Tanaim and one time. We'd rather learn it's one Tana and two different timing. Even though the Mishnah sounds like it's all one case, it's two different cases, as we will see. So we have three different ways of learning pshat in this Mishnah here. So, well, nobody came up. Actually, he doesn't like those three pshat. As Mar will explain, he doesn't like it.
They're not saying that it's one Tana.
They're saying it. The next three opinions are going to say that it's all one Tana. They're going to rather learn it's all one Tana, but the Mishnah is talking about two different cases, and it goes as follows. And the cases are going to be to do with yichulei makom of yinam miyachad makom. That's the whole difference. And just before we learn their things, if you miyachad makom, so if you were not miyachad makom, so where in the house does it belong? Anywhere. So anywhere in the house is called mekoima, as if you put it back in its original place. Yichulei makom is talking about, yeah, I gave you this closet, but I didn't put it back there. I put it somewhere else. So I never returned it lemekoima, and that's why you're chayiv. So it's a totally different case. So we're learning two different timing. So no, it's one Tana. It's all Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel holds you don't need das bailim. So in the case where you're not miyachad makom, wherever you put it back, it's good hashava. In the case where miyachad makom, we learned that miyachad makom, you put it back there. No, and you put it back anywhere but there. So therefore, it's not hashava, not because you weren't making the bailim aware, it's because you never put it back in the right place. So that's how we're going to learn. So they'd rather learn. It's two different timing, and what that's so much. To learn two different names, they find it very difficult. It just doesn't resonate with them. They'd rather learn that it's one Tana, and as difficult as it is to learn, it's two different cases, two different scenarios, which the Mishnah doesn't say. But it's less of a daichik to learn that way than to learn that it's two Tanoim in one Mishnah when the Mishnah is anonymous. That's the machlek zamarayim here. What's better to learn? So what actually is the case? Now, the first three Amoraim, we're going to argue what exactly you did wrong over here, is really irrelevant to this whole story. It's just a general argument. It goes as follows. When you picked it up, we say, what do you mean? Your intention was to steal it. If your intention was to steal it, your intention was to steal the entire barrel. And if your intention was to steal the entire barrel, that's it, you're a gun for the whole thing. And therefore, you're considered, you need hashava. And the chilik is whether you put it back in the right place or not. Not whether you made the balbas aware, whether you put it back in the right place. No, you didn't want to become a ganef for the whole thing. You wanted to use some of it. It's a big barrel of wine. I wanted to use 1 cup of wine. That's it. But if at the moment I wanted to use a little bit of wine, I'm already high for the whole barrel. So that shlichus yad, you don't have to have a shlichus yad in mind. When you're gazan, you're stealing the whole thing. To be chayiv, you need to steal the whole thing. If I don't want to steal part of it, I'm going to gazan a part of it. But when it comes to shlichus yad, if I only want one part of it, I'm responsible for everything. That's the din of shlichus yad. Should not yad. I took it in order to be shlichus, but I didn't. Is a ma'akim. If what's a machleke? What's machleke too? Machleke is a shlichus yad. When do we say that if a shalech yad, you did a kinyan, whatever it is, you consider shalech yad? One opinion says that you need, in order to be a shalech yad, you have to mind to actually use some of the wine, take some of the wine. That only then are you consider shalech yad. You know, you wanted to diminish the quantity that the balabas gave you. So even though it's only 1 revius out of 100 revius, you're shalech yad. Now you're chai for the entire 100 revius. The one who says that you wanted to steal whole shlichus yad sichus sudden, you need a sudden, and over here we don't know if that you wanted to use some of the wine. Maybe over here there's no sudden. Therefore, I'm saying over here you took it to be a gazlan. I don't like shlichus yad because you wanted to be shlichus yad, you wanted to move it somewhere else. We don't know if you want to take anything. Neither shlichus yad, neither sudden. Over here there's no sudden, and therefore we're talking about a case you actually wanted to steal it. Well, Mando Amal L'Shleich B'Yad, the one who says no, that Al Misha Tumah Shleich Yad, he holds Shlichus Yad Ein L'Tzich Son. He holds that Shlichus Yad that you don't need a son. You know, at the moment you wanted to use it for your own purpose, even if you didn't want to take away, you just wanted to use it for your own purpose. You're already considered responsible for everything. Take a pillow, you want to use it to sleep on it. There's no son in it. You're chai ready for the whole thing. Otherwise, no, you're not chai until you actually wanted to take away some of it, like wine. You wanted to use some of the wine. That's a shalech yad. But if you wanted just to move you want to take the wine and to use it to show. Sorry. Okay. That's not shalichas yad. That's shoyol. We'll see in a minute. So
Shaman uses the object in a way there's no effect to the Bible.
Because you're not allowed to use it at all for your own purpose. The moment you do, you're breaching your shemir. You're like a gunner for your shleich yad. Yeah. Okay. In other words, the one who holds that shlichus yad needs a chsaron says you're not chayiv till you actually took the cup of wine. Okay, again, the one who holds shlichus yad needs a chsaron says you're not chayiv unless you actually took the cup of wine. And over here, the fact that you took nothing, so you're not chayiv on shlichus yad because he didn't. Yeah, and it has to actually be a chsaron. If I took 1 cup of wine out of 100, a barrel had 100 cups of wine, so I'm not chayiv until I actually took that cup of wine. So why? In this case, they didn't do anything. I put it right back. So what am I chayiv for? That's why he says, we're talking about a ganef here. By ganef, we don't care what you did with it. The moment you picked it up in order to steal it, you wanted to steal the whole barrel, you're already chayiv. Just the moment you made the kinyonim. Mashaying shlichus yad, you're not chayiv until there was a chsaron. The one who holds shlichus yad ain't a chsaron, and of course you want to take it for yourself. You want to take wine out. So I'm going to explain a bit better. You want to take wine out, but Kol's man, What if you didn't do Poil take the wine? They say Shlichas Yad ain't a Tzich. The moment you wanted to, even though the Poil you didn't, you're already considered Shalech Yad. And even though you only want to take one cup, you're already responsible for the entire barrel. Somewhere along the line. So one who says that if too much Shlichas Yad you hold, that even if you didn't take it, you're already Shalech Yad because that's your intention. The one who says because Raman Ganef is because he holds that just because you want Shalech Yad, you're not chayiv until you actually did take something. Taking about it further, that's two opinions there. Targum Masker Abshation meeting not Luktani to Luktani. Where does it say in the mission you want to take? Whether you learn Gazan, whether Shlichas Yad means you only want to take a little bit. But the fact is, the mission says all you did was not. It's a tukla. You moved it. So there's anything about taking. Elon Abshation, we know what we're talking about here. You did move it, not to take anything, but you want to use it for your own benefit. You want to climb on it to take some. You moved it to another room to climb on and take something from the roof or move the birds away. So what are you now? You're a borrower. You're not a ganef. You're not a shleich yad. You don't take anything. You're just a borrower. But you're a shoyel shalei medas. And there's a machlekes if you borrow that mishnah, you're ganef or not. And this mishnah holds you're ganef. The kasov shalei medas, gazan have your gazan. The kul Rabbi Shmuel, the time mishnah Rabbi Shmuel. Even time mishnah Rabbi Shmuel. So these three opinions has nothing to do with this the contradiction of the nation of Seifers. If it's Rabbi Shmuel, you don't need the Balabas to be aware. Why in the Sefer, when you designate a place, we say that if anything happens after you put it back, you're still chayiv. The Sefer, you put it in the wrong place. I designated a closet and I put it in another room. So I never did a proper hashava. That's the problem. Rabbi Yechon has such a difficulty learning that as one time. Why don't you learn the same way? So Rabbi Yechon couldn't learn that way. He says, the word hinicha sounds like the Mekayma mashma. It doesn't say he just like he returned it to the original place. So therefore, he doesn't like the pshat that you turned it to the wrong place. Then hinicha would be the wrong word to use. That's why he had no choice but to learn that it's two different tonight. Says the Gemara. Eat my blood. I believe it. And now that we mentioned it, one of them says, when are you considered shalech yad only if you actually took it? And the moment you wanted to take it and you moved it for that purpose, you made a kinyan, then even though you didn't take any, you're already now a shalech yad and you're responsible for anything that happens afterwards. You're a shem mechinim. You're still responsible for actions that take place afterwards. This time, let's conclude. There's different gesayis in Gemara, learn by Nashulans. Let's conclude the Rav who dama shlichas yad ain't a tzich. Let's say the Rav one holds that shlichas yad, even though you didn't end up taking it, you're still already responsible. The time of the Braisa. If a shepherd there was taking care of his flock, and he left it behind, he went to the city. Now he's not a peshay over here because he went at a time when all the shepherds go into the city for whatever reason it is, or he heard the lion roaring, got scared and he moved away. So it's not like he didn't do anything. He's no pshi here. Then Boz David came along a wolf and tore up and dragged one of them away. Ubad, he came a lion with daughters and trampled on it. Either he killed it on the spot, took it away, or he eats while he tramples. Potter, you are potter. What should he do? But he placed his things on the animal. He's like a shaleach yad. He's using the animal for his purpose. Now he's responsible for any actions that happen afterwards. If a lion comes along,
he rested it.
He wanted, had nowhere to put it. Yeah, he had benefit from it. He put his walking stick or he put his bag on there. He'd be chayiv. But he took it away afterwards. And Rabbi Shmuel, and since Stam Mishnah Rabbi Shmuel, all the Stam Mishnah Rabbi Shmuel in this case, even though Rabbi Shmuel the most, Rabbi Shmuel says once he took the stick off, once he took the bag off, when he went to town, he must have taken it off to go to town. So once he take it off, it's as if he put the animal back to its original place. According to Rabbi Shmuel, you don't need to make the balbos away. So he did his ashava. What's the problem? Must be that he became a shalech yad here. And once you're a shalech yad, we don't care. So first we answer. Sorry, he left it there. So he's having. I'm not. Okay, even if it's there, so what? In order to be considered a shalech yad, you have to make a kinyan. Or if shoyl anything, you have to make a kinyan. Where's this kinyan? So the Gemara, is by making the animal move. And we learned before you could either scream and make the animal move, or if you give it a strike with a stick and you make the animal move. The Rotzol Lefanim. This is what Rav answers. So Rav says you hit it and the animal ran. So you were coin it, and now you're considered responsible. If it's like Shlichas Yad, we said if Shlichas Yad means that you actually use it, you didn't use it. The animal's the same animal before, so that you didn't take anything lepoil. You just put your stick on it. You didn't take anything, Elalav Shmam doesn't prove Kisar Shlich Yad Shlichus. Rab is one who answers this, holds that if you wanted to use the animal, even though it didn't end up costing the animal thing, you're already high because there's no chsar. We don't need a chsar. No. Not that he struck it, he weakened the animal by hitting it. He hit it really hard. I'll prove it to you. They can have Tony Shikisha B'makal. He just said Shikisha. I don't care how he hit him. Could hit him with his foot. Why do you have to emphasize that with B'makal a stick? You got me a yena zetz, and therefore he weakened the animal. So there was a sudden fakert. Is shmamim. So Rab is fakert. We started out saying Rab holds you don't need a sudden. Now we conclude because Rab is the one who answered. You hit it with a stick. He holds when you're shleich yad, only when you weaken animal. With the Rav Sava Shlichus Yad Sichus, Rav holds that Shlichus Yad needs a chsaron. You need that you weaken the animal. Is Levi Sava Shlichus Yad Eisa. So Levi want to hold that you don't have to weaken the animal. You don't have to weaken the animal. So Rashi already asked, how do you know there's to do with Zayla or Shlich? Why don't you say Shoyl? We said before the third way of learning Rav Sheshes was that if you're a Shoyl, you use something that doesn't belong to you. Yeah, just say that this is nothing to do with shlichus yad, nothing to do with gzeila here. You use the animal to place a stick on it and makes your gazan. And the gazan is chayv. Any responsibility that happened afterwards. So the Gemara, Rashi answers, when do we say that you're a shoyl? When you use money, you use a vessel. So you use a vessel, let's say to pour water, to use as a pitcher, you put it back, nothing changed. But by an animal, every time you use an animal, you weaken the animal. By Balachaim says Rashi, there's no such thing as shoyl. If you use an animal, you use keiches, and you expend keiches in the animal. And therefore, it's always shlichus yad. Always. Wait. And most of them agree with Rashi, not everyone. Yeah. So anyway, further, so what's the spot of Levi? Why do you hold shlichus yad as nichson? Oh, but Rabbi Yechon, I'm sure Rabbi Yechon, Meshuna shlichus yad, I'm going to be Shabbat Sach, Meshuna yad, I'm going to be Shabbat Sach. Both of them. Im loy sholach yodem b'meleches reyu. By Shem Mechinim and by Shem Sach. Why did I repeat it twice? The idea of shlichus yad. So my Rebbe, who was Rabbi Yesi ben Roy, Rabbi Yechon said, my Rebbe, Rabbi Yesi ben Roy, says that it says by both. But I say, Ein Meshuna. I say that it's not repetitive. You need them both. More explains. Well, my Mishuna. I say it's not different. It's the same thing. You need one by Shemachin or Shemachin. Let's go now to my Rebbe. Why does it say that it's redundant? Look, you don't need both. It must be because it's redundant. It must be to teach you a new halacha. That's what my Rebbe says. Don't tell me that if he misused it, you're responsible for Shemachin. But taste, I learned from Shemachin, which is almost exempt from every kind of responsibility. For stolen or lost is exempt. Yet if he used it, you're chayiv for his own purpose. If chayiv for any actions that occur later, imagine a shemer zacher who has more responsibilities. Shemer zacher surely is chayiv for shlichus yad. So the hilchas kasavinu lachmana. Why in the world did the Torah write shlichus yad? Repeat it again by Shem Yisachar. Laimlach tell you the two kinds of shlichus yad. If I only would have told you one shlichus yad, I would say, when you consider shlichus yad, if you actually did it, if you actually carried out, you thought you actually used it. But if shlichus yad, then you intended to use it, but you didn't, you just put it back. I would have thought that's not called shlichus yad. That's why I need a second time to tell you by Shem shlichus yad to tell you that even if there's no chsaron, there's shlichus yad. Shlichus yad ain't it tzrichas. That shlichus yad does not need a chsaron, and that's Levi. Levi follows Rabbi Yosef ben Arai. But Rabbi Yechon says, but I counter that. I hold ein meshuna. I hold you need them both. We would not have been able to learn one from another, and therefore at the Torah have to write it by both, because there's a chumrah by Shem Mechinim over Shem Mesacha. Now, what possible chumrah do we have by Shem Mechinim? We'll learn more about this in Hashem. What possible chumrah does Shem Mechinim have over Shem Mesacha? A Shem Mesacha can never come to the position of kefil, or that can never. Generally, cannot come to the position of kefil. No, but Shem Mesacha says it was stolen. He pays up front, and they catch the god of later. Shem Mesacha gets the money. When it comes to Shem Mechinim, if he swore false, he says it was stolen. So he's exempt. And then Adim come along and say, hey, you swore false. We know that you're still in your barn, or you're the ganef. What happens then? The Shem Mechinim has to pay double. A Shem Mesacha doesn't. So there's a chumrah Shem Mechinim that there's a potential for him as a penalty if he lies and swore that it was stolen and he used that as an excuse to be exempt. And then later turned out to be that he himself was the ganef, he pays double. So since the Shem Mechinim can reach the level of that penalty of paying double, and a Shem Mesacha doesn't, unless he said it was stolen by Inus, but generally he doesn't, It's a chumrah shemechinim. So if the Taita would have written only shlichus yad by shemechinim, I would say hell. Because of that particular stringency by shemechinim, that's why the shemechinim his shlichus yad is chayiv. But a shemesacher never can reach kafel. Maybe he doesn't have the din of shlichus yad. No, but every time you have a kal v'chem, as Rishonim say, even the slightest question is enough to undermine the whole kal v'chem. If I can find one angle of chumrah, I can always say I attribute to that chumrah. Oh, that's why the machlekes. The Gemara concludes in Hashayo that karna beloy shvua is odif or chomer. No, it's paying every single time. The principle is generally more strict. You're right, but because as Teish explained, from one perspective. No matter how minuscule, how it's still a chumrah involved, then you don't no longer know. So the Rabbi Yechila says, even need them both. They're both talking about the same kind of shlichus yad. I need them both. My dov da'achas, what do you mean them both? Because equal mifrach. You know, shlichus yad came kefil. Sometimes he pays kefil, but 20 times gone when he claims that it was stolen. So shemechina can sometimes pay double, such a big penalty. Chumrah. The one who doesn't not bother, I said that's not a chumrah. The fact that a shayma always pays, yeah. So therefore, according to Rabbi Yechon, I hold like Rabbi Lazar that you need both. There's nothing extra. So shlichus yad needs chsaron. There's no extra pasuk to tell you that doesn't, and that's the svara of Rav. Rabbi says no. And big machlekes is showing what Rav exactly trying to say here. But some say that even according to Rabbi Lazar, that there's nothing extra between shema sachar and shema chinim. Both of them. I still would learn out shlichus yad is not chsaron because you don't need either of them. Why? Because you can learn from shoyl. Every shoyl is what's he do? He's a sholech yad. That's what a shoyl is. A shoyl is there to use it. So we know already shlichus, and he's responsible for accidents. So emadach a shoyl had permission to use it. And yet, if an accident happens, he's chayiv. Surely you have no permission to use it and you use it for your own purpose. Surely you should be chayiv. What I need a pasuk b'chlau must be a teacher that even there's no chsaron, that's a chiddush. That even though you didn't end up using it at all, you wanted to be sholech yad and you made a kinyan for it, even though at the end you never used it, you just put it right back. If any accident happens, you're chayiv. So even according to Rabbi Lazar, both of them are not necessary. Yeah, but that's something else. Yeah. No, yeah, but saying over here is yeah. So the Gemara, Rava says, "Leit teimesh shlichus yad, leit b'shem mechina b'shem sacha, but take." Chayiv shem mechina b'shem sacha lekoshken surely. Lama nema. Why does it say? Must be one by Shayel. Okay, so why talking? They're both extra. So one is to tell you that shlichus yad even when you didn't end up using it. Since we're learning from Shayel, Shayel has a unique halacha, a kula that no one else has. That is, if the owner was working for you, it's called shila b'bailim. If the owner was under your employment, while you're working, we'll see more later. You go to a barber and you want to borrow something from him. Make sure that he's cut your hair while you're doing it, so that he's working for you. Then anything happens afterwards, you putter. It's called sheila b'bailim. If the guy is working for you while you borrowed, so you would have thought that for learning the kal v'chemer from Shoyel that shlichus yad also. If the guy happened to be your employee at the time and you're sholech yad afterwards, I don't care when, you'd be putter. That's your thing. That's why you need them both. Says the Gemara, man, the one who says so how need tarti shlichus yad? If you hold you need so you learn mama straight from Shoyel, just like Shoyel needs a son. How do you? What do you need the two extra shlichus yad by Shoyel Chinim Hashem Sachar according to Rava? Because since we're learning from Shoyel, you would have said if the guy was in my employment, I shouldn't be chayiv of shlichus yad. Okay, that's one. And what's the other one? The other one is the Ketanya for the following. By Shema Sachar, it clearly says that he swore, and that Shavuos Hashem Tibeshnein. By Shema Chinim, in the pasuk of Shema Chinim, it just says Nikra Balabai. It doesn't mention a word about swearing. So I would have thought if a Shema Chinim says it was stolen, 280 come along and say, but it's in your barn. I would have thought already then the Shema Chinim has to pay double. We wouldn't have known that the Shema has to first swear that I didn't, that it was stolen before, and then later found out to be a lie that he has to pay double. I would have thought that as soon as the Shema Chinim says it's good enough. So we need to learn from Shema Sacha. That's what I have to say. The Nikra Balabai Halakim, Lishvua, that Ato, Amen, Lishvua, Ein Eladin. Maybe it's only about the moment he goes to the Din and he says it was stolen. That's enough already. He found to be a liar. You should already pay double. It says Shlichus Yad here. The Nemra Shilamaila, one by Shem Mechina, one by Shem Sacha. Mala Halal Shvua by Shem Sacha says clearly Shvuas Hashem Tia Ben Shneim. There's a Shvu involved. Avkal Shvu, he has to swear. And as the Taisa says, the words Im loy sholach yodim lech is a lot of words, and because it has exact same expression by both of them, even though we don't make a Gzeda Shabbos, here's like clear the Torah saying it's in your eye, it's in your face, that they have the same halacha. That only if you swore, then do we say Im loy sholach